You ever notice how some women just stick with you long after the first conversation, long after the first glance? They're not just beautiful, they're magnetic. There's something in the way they move, the way they think, the way they command attention without demanding it. Some men chase, some men admire, and some men can't help but be consumed by the energy they bring into a room. But here's the truth. It's not about looks alone. It's not about the superficial. It's about power, the kind that radiates from confidence, purpose, and mystery. There are women who make you think, who make you reflect, who challenge you to level up without even saying a word. There are women who walk in a room and change the atmosphere. Women whose ambition is contagious. Women whose depth keeps you guessing, keeps you coming back for more. Today I want to break it down for you. The women who capture attention, hearts, and minds. The types of women men obsess over. By the end, you'll see it's not just charm or beauty that makes someone unforgettable. It's vision, strength, complexity, and presence. Stick with me because what I'm about to share isn't theory, it's real. The woman of vision is not someone who drifts through life, waiting for opportunities to find her. She's awake while the world sleeps, moving in silence but with purpose. Every step she takes is calculated, intentional, like she's building a legacy brick by brick. Men notice her because she has a fire in her soul that can't be faked or forced. She's not caught up in the shallow pursuit of attention or validation. She's chasing something much bigger than likes, comments, or temporary pleasures. Her eyes are set on a horizon that most people don't even see, and that makes her magnetic. The presence of a woman like this is felt before she even speaks because she moves with direction, and energy like that is contagious. She isn't reactive to the world. She creates her world. Her mind is always thinking 2 steps ahead, but she doesn't flaunt it to intimidate others. She embodies it naturally. Her ambition isn't loud, it's steady, unshakable, and relentless. She's the type of woman who turns dreams into plans, plans into action, and action into results. A man can sense the difference immediately. He knows she isn't living for anyone else's approval, and that independence, that clarity, that vision draws him in like gravity. There's something captivating about a woman who knows what she wants and refuses to settle for less. She doesn't just speak about goals, she executes them. And men who understand energy are naturally intrigued because they see in her what they themselves want. Focus, strength, and self-respect. Her vision is her compass, and everything she does aligns with it. She has standards, and she won't compromise them for anyone. That doesn't make her unapproachable, it makes her magnetic. She doesn't need to scream, "Look at me," because her life is proof of who she is. Men are drawn not to her for her looks alone, though she may be beautiful. They're drawn to the way she carries herself, the way her mind works, the way she treats her time and her energy like currency. She's constantly evolving, learning, adapting, and growing. And in her growth, she inspires everyone around her without even trying. It's rare because the world often confuses loud confidence for vision, but true vision is quiet, disciplined, and undeniable. She doesn't play games. She doesn't manipulate. She doesn't wait for someone to lift her up. She lifts herself, and in doing so, she elevates the people who deserve to be around her. The woman of vision doesn't just set goals. She sets standards for how she lives, how she loves, and how she interacts with the world. Men are obsessed with her because she challenges them in the best way to raise their own bar. Being around her is like standing next to a torch in the dark. Her energy illuminates possibilities that others can't even see. She's the type of woman who can take a broken situation and turn it into a blueprint for success. Her mind doesn't stop, her heart doesn't settle, and her soul doesn't compromise. She has clarity that most people spend a lifetime searching for, and that kind of clarity is addictive to anyone who recognizes authenticity. A man might be physically attracted to many women, but he obsesses over a woman of vision because she represents potential, not just for herself, but for him too. She's a partner in growth, not a distraction from it. She doesn't require constant reassurance because she's secure in who she is and what she's building. She understands that time is the most valuable asset, and she guards it fiercely. Men recognize this instinctively, and it creates a magnetic pull. There's an intensity to her presence because she's intentional in everything. The way she speaks, the way she walks, the way she makes decisions. She's not afraid of hard work. She embraces challenges as part of the journey. Her life is a reflection of discipline, and discipline breeds results. She doesn't compete with others, she competes with herself. And that internal drive, that self-propelled momentum, is exactly what keeps men fascinated. They can't help but be drawn to someone who refuses to be average, someone who refuses to let circumstances define her. A woman of vision sees opportunity where others see obstacles. She takes calculated risk, learns from failure, and transforms setbacks into lessons. Her perspective is refined by experience, sharpened by trial, and grounded in a clarity that's uncommon. Men notice when a woman can hold space for herself, when she doesn't shrink to make others comfortable, when she owns her power unapologetically. That ownership of self, that unwavering commitment to her purpose is what creates obsession. It's not vanity or ego, it's authenticity and motion. The woman of vision doesn't just dream, she executes. And men are drawn to execution because it reflects integrity, focus, and resilience. She's not defined by her past, by opinions, or by societal pressures. Her vision is personal, sacred, and lived out in real time. She builds bridges instead of walls, solutions instead of excuses, and progress instead of drama. She's the type of woman who inspires not by words, but by example. And because her example is rare, it becomes something to admire, respect, and yes, obsess over. Men are attracted to her not because they can control her, but because they want to be a part of her world, to witness her rise, and to grow alongside her. Her energy doesn't just fill a room, it transforms it. And transformation is powerful. The woman of vision doesn't settle for temporary thrills or fleeting recognition. She's playing a long game. She understands that legacy matters more than attention. She doesn't rush, she doesn't panic, and she doesn't negotiate her worth. That patience and clarity are like a magnet to anyone who recognizes authenticity. Men obsess over her because she represents a standard of living and being that challenges mediocrity. She's rare because she's not performing for anyone. She's performing for herself and her future. She's deliberate, disciplined, and unapologetically ambitious. That kind of presence leaves a mark, a lasting impression that's hard to shake. A man who comes across her life will notice immediately. She's operating on a different frequency. She's already ahead of the game, not in arrogance, but in preparation. Her vision isn't about wealth alone. It's about purpose, impact, and legacy. And when a woman carries herself with that level of clarity, ambition, and authenticity, she's not just attractive, she's unforgettable. The woman of value is the type of woman whose presence alone elevates everyone around her. She carries herself with a sense of integrity that doesn't demand recognition, but naturally commands respect. She understands the weight of her energy and the importance of how she invests it, knowing that not every person, place, or situation deserves a piece of her focus. Men notice this quality immediately because she doesn't tolerate nonsense, she doesn't bend to temporary convenience, and she doesn't sacrifice her principles for anyone. Her value isn't measured by material things or social status. It's measured by her character, her loyalty, her ability to remain consistent when circumstances try to shake her. She doesn't just show up when it's easy or when things are convenient. She shows up when it matters, when trust is tested, when actions count more than words. That steadfastness, that commitment to realness is magnetic. A man can feel it in the way she treats people, the way she honors her word, the way she navigates life with a quiet confidence that comes from knowing who she is. She doesn't need to boast, she doesn't need to prove herself, because her actions already speak volumes. The woman of value understands that respect is earned through integrity, that trust is nurtured through consistency, and that influence is created by lifting others without expectation. Men are drawn to her because they sense that she is rare, someone who doesn't compromise her worth for attention, validation, or short-term gain. She's loyal, not because she's obligated, but because loyalty is a reflection of her inner standards, and those standards are unshakable. She's protective of her energy and mindful of where she invests it, which makes her presence deliberate, meaningful, and impactful. Men obsess over her not because she's perfect, but because she's authentic, unwavering, and genuine in a world full of pretense. She's the type of woman who turns chaos into calm, conflict into understanding, and confusion into clarity. Her wisdom is quiet but palpable, and those who are attuned to depth recognize it immediately. The woman of value doesn't define herself by external validation. She defines herself by her principles, her discipline, and the way she treats others. She's patient, understanding, and forgiving where it matters, but she's also firm, unyielding, and protective where boundaries are necessary. That balance between softness and strength is what makes her unforgettable. Men notice it because she represents stability, integrity, and emotional intelligence in a world that often rewards impulsivity, drama, and superficiality. Her value isn't flashy or showy, it's steady, dependable, and reliable. She invests in herself continuously, not just for personal gain, but so she can bring more to the people in the world around her. She understands that her presence has weight and that her influence can shift energy, conversations, and even outcomes without her having to say a word. The woman of value doesn't just talk about principles, she lives them. She honors commitments, keeps promises, and navigates life in a way that inspires trust. Men are drawn to her because she embodies a standard of living and being that feels rare, attainable only through discipline, self-respect, and intentionality. She's the type of woman who nurtures growth in others while maintaining her own, who encourages without enabling, and who loves without losing herself. That ability to lift others while remaining grounded in her own worth is a magnet for people who understand authenticity. She doesn't seek validation from men or the world. Her confidence and self-respect come from within, and that inner security creates an aura that's hard to resist. Men are fascinated because she's not needy, she's not reactive, and she's not performative. She commands energy through presence, consistency, and quiet authority. She has a moral compass that guides her decisions, and she refuses to compromise her integrity for temporary comfort, fleeting attention, or social convenience. That kind of rare quality makes her someone men obsess over because they recognize depth, they recognize substance, and they recognize the power of being around someone who brings out the best in themselves without even trying. She understands her worth, and that self-awareness is not arrogance, it's self-respect. And that distinction is critical. The woman of value doesn't compete with others. She sets her own pace and standards, and in doing so, she elevates everyone who comes near her. Men are drawn to her because she challenges them to think bigger, act better, and be more consistent. She doesn't entertain negativity or unnecessary drama, and she surrounds herself with people, energy, and experiences that align with her standards. That level of discernment creates a magnetic pull because it signals to men that she's not just floating through life aimlessly. She's deliberate, selective, and intentional in every aspect. Her loyalty is rare, her wisdom is deep, and her presence is transformative. A man notices when she walks into a room, not just because of appearance, but because of the way she carries herself, the energy she radiates, and the subtle authority in her voice and actions. She's not loud or boastful, but her impact is undeniable. She values herself, her time, her energy, and her relationships, and that level of self-respect is intoxicating. Men obsess because she's consistent when others waver, calm when others panic, and wise when others falter. Her strength is quiet but palpable, her influence subtle but powerful. She doesn't need to prove herself to anyone because she lives a life that proves itself. Her values are her anchor, and she refuses to drift from them regardless of temptation, pressure, or societal expectation. That steadfastness, that clarity, that embodiment of principle makes her rare, and rarity is something people naturally chase, consciously or unconsciously. She doesn't need to impress, manipulate, or perform. Her existence in alignment with her values is enough to draw people toward her. Men recognize that she is someone who elevates every space she steps into, that she brings out the best in those around her without taking anything away from herself, and that she holds a standard that demands respect naturally. She is magnetic because she is consistent, disciplined, loyal, and wise. She invests her energy where it counts. Her words are measured and meaningful, and her actions are deliberate and impactful. She's the type of woman who can love fiercely, give selflessly, and guide gently while never losing sight of her own worth. Men obsess over her because she's not just another face in the crowd. She's a force of integrity, a blueprint of loyalty, and a living example of what it means to value oneself and one's energy above all else. She is deliberate in her life, intentional in her choices, and unwavering in her principles. That rare combination of depth, wisdom, and authenticity makes her unforgettable, magnetic, and irresistible in ways that superficial attraction can never match. The woman of energy is someone whose presence can be felt before she even speaks. She radiates a confidence and vitality that draws people toward her naturally, not because she demands attention, but because her very being is magnetic. Men are obsessed with her because she carries an aura that makes life feel larger, fuller, and more vibrant. Her energy isn't just about excitement or charisma. It's about the way she moves through the world with purpose, awareness, and authenticity. She understands that energy is contagious, and she cultivates hers intentionally. Every gesture, every word, every movement is infused with a sense of self-assurance and clarity that signals she knows who she is and what she wants. She doesn't overexert herself to impress. She simply exists in alignment with her inner power, and that natural alignment creates an irresistible pull. The woman of energy thrives in her own light and refuses to let others dim it. She knows that confidence without arrogance, joy without superficiality, and presence without performance are rare, and she embodies these qualities effortlessly. Men are drawn to her because she challenges the ordinary and introduces a vibrancy that most people cannot sustain. Being around her feels electric because she carries a life force that elevates the spaces she occupies. She's not performing, she's authentic, and authenticity is magnetic. Her energy comes from a deep understanding of herself, from loving her own existence and embracing her uniqueness. She doesn't rely on external validation because her power is internal, and that self-sufficiency makes her presence addictive. The woman of energy doesn't just exist in moments, she transforms them. She has the ability to make an ordinary day feel extraordinary simply by being fully engaged in life. Men are fascinated because she embodies movement, flow, and vitality in a way that contrasts with the monotony most people settle for. Her laughter is genuine, her enthusiasm is contagious, and her confidence is self-taught, honed through experience, self-awareness, and relentless pursuit of self-mastery. She's not afraid to shine, to be noticed, to own her space without permission, and that ownership is a magnet. The woman of energy understands that people are drawn not to those who seek attention, but to those whose energy cannot be ignored. She radiates a combination of warmth, curiosity, and strength that makes her both approachable and awe-inspiring at the same time. Men obsess over her because she's unpredictable in the best way. She challenges expectations while remaining grounded in authenticity. She doesn't bend to societal pressures or perform for validation. She creates her own rules, moves at her own rhythm, and embraces her own brand of excellence. That level of self-possession is rare, and rarity is captivating. She understands that life is about motion, growth, and embracing possibility. Her energy isn't chaotic, it's intentional. She knows when to amplify a room, when to calm tension, when to speak, and when to listen. That mastery of presence, of energy, is what makes her unforgettable. Men notice her because she makes them feel alive in ways they can't always articulate. Being near her is like being near a spark that has the potential to ignite greatness, creativity, and ambition. She encourages people without overtly pushing, inspires without preaching, and challenges without threatening. Her energy is a combination of joy, discipline, resilience, and magnetism, and that combination is irresistible. The woman of energy is unapologetic about her emotions, her passions, and her desires. She moves with a rhythm that is both intentional and effortless, and she recognizes that the way she carries herself sets the tone for her interactions. Men are drawn to her because she is full-bodied in life, unafraid to embrace it, unafraid to shine, unafraid to be seen. She has a magnetic presence because she has cultivated an understanding of self that is rare. She doesn't need to dominate a room to be noticed, she simply needs to enter it. Her energy is balanced with awareness, ensuring that she uplifts without overwhelming, captivates without controlling, and inspires without demanding. The woman of energy isn't defined by drama or spectacle. She's defined by the quality of her presence and the vibrancy she brings into spaces and relationships. Men obsess over her because her energy is not superficial. It's deep, intentional, and reflective of a life lived with purpose. She creates momentum wherever she goes. Conversations flow, ideas expand, emotions are felt fully, and people are drawn to participate in her world. She knows the value of her presence, guards it carefully, and invests it wisely. Her energy challenges mediocrity, elevates experiences, and transforms ordinary connections into memorable encounters. She doesn't just participate in life, she orchestrates it in ways that feel natural, effortless, and authentic. That mastery of personal energy is rare, and rarity is magnetic. Men are fascinated because she makes them feel bigger, more alive, and more engaged simply by being herself. The woman of energy understands that attraction is not about perfection, appearances, or manipulation. It's about presence, confidence, authenticity, and the ability to inspire. Her energy is a reflection of her self-love, her discipline, her joy, and her fearlessness. She doesn't need validation because she embodies it herself, and that independence, that inner fire is addictive. Men obsess because she isn't available to everyone. Not because she's selective in a superficial sense, but because she recognizes the value of her energy and refuses to give it to those who cannot match it. She elevates the people she allows in her life, challenges them to be better, and holds a standard that creates respect, admiration, and yes, obsession. The woman of energy is unforgettable because she is alive in every sense of the word. Her presence lingers after she leaves, her voice echoes beyond conversation, her movement imprints on memory, and her influence shapes the people who witness it. She doesn't need to dominate, she simply radiates, and that radiance draws others like gravity. Men are fascinated not just by her beauty or charisma, but by the fullness of her being, the intentionality of her movement, and the authenticity of her expression. She inspires action, admiration, and deep fascination. Her energy is magnetic because it's real, purposeful, self-sustaining, and transformative. She doesn't chase attention or affection. She commands it naturally by being fully herself, and that is why she's unforgettable, why men are drawn to her, and why her presence leaves a lasting impact on everyone she encounters. She carries life in her aura, movement in her gestures, and fire in her spirit, creating a force that is impossible to ignore, unmatched in its authenticity and irresistible in its magnetism. The woman of vision is the type of woman who sees life not just as it is, but as it could be. She carries a clarity of purpose that is rare, a drive that doesn't waver, and a mindset that constantly elevates herself and those around her. Men are drawn to her because her ambition is paired with focus, intelligence, and an unshakable sense of direction. She doesn't drift through life waiting for opportunities to find her. She creates them. She dreams big, plans meticulously, and executes relentlessly, and that combination of thoughtfulness and action is magnetic. Her vision is not self-serving or shallow, it's expansive. She thinks in terms of impact, growth, and legacy. She understands that the decisions she makes today determine the quality of her tomorrow, and she acts accordingly. Men obsess over her because she embodies progress, possibility, and purpose in ways that most people cannot. She doesn't settle for mediocrity in herself or those around her, and that standard is both challenging and inspiring. She doesn't demand that people match her level instantly, but she doesn't tolerate lethargy or lack of ambition either. Her vision is like a lighthouse, steady, clear, and illuminating a path that others want to follow, even if they can't entirely keep pace. The woman of vision understands the power of her mind, the value of her focus, and the necessity of her ambition. She invests in herself through learning, self-reflection, skill building, and networking. She treats setbacks as lessons, obstacles as challenges to be overcome, and failures as temporary detours rather than endpoints. Men notice this because she doesn't react to life with excuses or complaints. She reacts with strategy, resilience, and action. She is magnetic not because she demands attention, but because her energy signals competence, mastery, and self-respect. Her vision extends beyond personal gain. She's often lifting others as she climbs. She mentors, advises, collaborates, and inspires because she understands that success multiplies when shared. Men are drawn to her because her ambition isn't a threat, it's a source of motivation and inspiration. Being around her challenges them to elevate their own standards, to think bigger, and to act with more intentionality. The woman of vision has an aura of intelligence that is palpable. Conversations with her are stimulating, not superficial. She listens, actively asks thoughtful questions, and contributes insights that reflect depth, experience, and perspective. She doesn't boast about her knowledge, she simply applies it, and the results speak for themselves. Men are captivated because she represents the rare combination of mental acuity, emotional intelligence, and long-term focus. She doesn't waste energy on trivial pursuits. Her time is valuable, her attention is selective, and her priorities are aligned with her vision. That level of discipline, self-awareness, and focus is magnetic because it signals that she is serious about life, about growth, and about leaving an impact that matters. The woman of vision isn't just planning for herself, she's building a foundation that others can benefit from. She understands that influence is built through consistency, reliability, and integrity, and she applies these principles rigorously. Men obsess over her because she is rare in a world full of distraction, fleeting attention, and short-term gratification. She doesn't follow trends, she creates trajectories. She doesn't wait for permission, she commands opportunity. She doesn't define herself by external validation, she defines herself by progress, impact, and purpose. Her clarity of vision sets her apart because it allows her to move through life decisively, confidently, and with minimal interference from doubt or hesitation. Men are drawn to her because she embodies momentum. Her energy is forward moving, her focus unbroken, and her ambition contagious. She doesn't simply dream, she acts. She doesn't simply plan, she executes. She doesn't simply talk, she produces. That alignment between thought, intention, and action is something that can't be faked, and men recognize it instantly. The woman of vision is unafraid of responsibility, unafraid of criticism, and unafraid of challenges. She views obstacles as opportunities to sharpen her skills, refine her strategy, and demonstrate resilience. And her discipline and persistence are attractive because they signal that she is reliable, capable, and committed, not only to herself, but also to anyone who aligns with her vision. She doesn't live passively, she lives intentionally. Men are fascinated because she offers the promise of growth, inspiration, and partnership on a level that transcends surface level attraction. Her presence is empowering because she elevates standards, sets examples, and challenges complacency. The woman of vision is emotionally intelligent enough to recognize which battles are worth fighting and which are distractions. She surrounds herself with people who inspire her, challenge her, and support her mission. She invests in relationships that are mutually beneficial, rooted in respect, trust, and shared ambition. Men are obsessed because she is selective in the way she invests her time and energy, and that discernment communicates worth, value, and seriousness. She isn't fickle, indecisive, or reactive. She is deliberate, strategic, and intentional. Her ambition is paired with empathy, so while she pursues her goals relentlessly, she does not trample over others to achieve them. That rare combination of drive and compassion makes her magnetic. She doesn't fear solitude because she knows that self-reliance is a prerequisite for meaningful collaboration. She doesn't fear criticism because she understands that it is a reflection of others' limitations, not her own capability. She doesn't fear risk because she knows that calculated risks are essential to progress. Men are drawn to her because she embodies courage, foresight, and capability, and those qualities are inspiring, intoxicating, and rare. The woman of vision lives life with intentionality in everything from her personal growth to her professional pursuits, from her relationships to her habits. She understands the multiplier effect of her energy, influence, and presence, and she uses them responsibly. Men are captivated because she doesn't settle for mediocrity in herself, in life, or in the people she allows close. She challenges them to step up, think bigger, act smarter, and embrace responsibility. Her ambition doesn't overshadow her empathy, her strategy doesn't compromise her integrity, and her success doesn't diminish her humility. The woman of vision is magnetic because she exists as a complete package: intelligence, ambition, clarity, resilience, compassion, and action. Men obsess over her because she embodies what is rare, elevates what is ordinary, and challenges what is stagnant. She is not just a participant in life, she is a creator, a mover, a leader, and a visionary whose presence shifts perspective, ignites action, and leaves a lasting impression on everyone fortunate enough to cross her path. Her mind, focus, and purpose make her unforgettable, inspiring a level of respect, admiration, and fascination that goes beyond superficial attraction, leaving men captivated, challenged, and constantly wanting to rise to the level she naturally inhabits. The woman of mystery is a presence that cannot be fully understood at first glance. A woman whose depths unfold slowly, revealing layers of complexity that captivate the mind and challenge expectations. Men are obsessed with her not because she hides who she is out of manipulation, but because her life, her personality, and her experiences are multidimensional, refusing to be reduced to a single story. She carries an aura that signals depth, resilience, and intelligence, and that aura alone draws attention and curiosity. She doesn't reveal everything about herself immediately because she understands the value of pacing, of letting connections develop organically, and of maintaining her own boundaries. There's an elegance in the way she navigates life's questions and conversations, never over-explaining, never performing, simply existing with confidence and intentionality. Men notice her because she is unpredictable in the right ways, always full of surprises that stimulate their curiosity. Her life is full, her interests are rich, and her mind is active. And she allows people close enough to glimpse it without surrendering all of herself at once. The woman of mystery is not defined by secrecy, but by the quality of her presence and the depth of her inner life. She cultivates interests, skills, and passions that make her life vibrant and fulfilling independently of others, and that independence creates a magnetic pull. Men are drawn to her because they recognize that her value is self-determined, not externally validated. She doesn't seek approval or attention. She creates her own satisfaction, joy, and purpose, and that self-possession is intoxicating. The woman of mystery communicates through subtlety, through nuance, through a combination of words, actions, and energy that conveys meaning without overexposure. She understands that intrigue is a product of authenticity combined with intentional restraint. She doesn't have to perform to impress, but her authenticity, her intellect, and her intuition naturally draw admiration. Men obsess because she challenges the ordinary and pushes them to think beyond surface level interaction. Her life has rhythm, meaning, and texture, and she allows people close enough to appreciate it without revealing all of her intricacies immediately. She is emotionally intelligent, capable